So something really quite amusing has happened in the UK, which is really interesting and shows that the Labour Party is actually at the moment the most right-wing party that we have. And the response of Liberals to this has been so genuinely hilarious that their arguments are just in the pits. They have very little to go on. They're running on fumes. They have nothing with which to persuade you. If all of the browbeating, all of the name calling, and all of the made up nonsense hasn't worked, you can see now they're just scrambling for just there must be something here I can grab hold of that proves actually we're all the same, really, and everyone everywhere is just identical, and actually the people who think otherwise are just racist. They're just bigots. And so let me show you what's happened. Yvette Cooper, the current Home Secretary, I think she's the Home Secretary. Let me just check that, actually. I'm sure she's the Home Secretary. Now that I've said that, yeah, she is the Home Secretary. I knew she was, but I don't know why I suddenly second-guessed myself. I don't like to be wrong about stuff, you know? But anyway, so the current Home Secretary has decided that what we are going to do is publicise, quote, league tables about migrant crime, showing which nationalities are more associated with particular crimes. Now, you can see how The Guardian has taken this. And the answer is not well. Oh, you're pandering to Farage. Are you mental? Nigel Farage would never have the balls to demand this. He would never have the balls to do this. Nigel Farage curls up in a ball and cries when you call him a racist. There's no way he would have done this. No Conservative, no Reform MP, no way, right? It requires the people who are the ones levelling the accusation of racism to be able to be this racist, right? Because, like, when it comes to allegations of racism, the Labour Party are the ones who knock, right? The Conservatives, Farage, Reform, they're the ones who go, oh no, we've been called a racist again. But they are genuinely anti-racist. They're not for racism. And the Labour Party have yet to have a non-white, non-male person in charge of the party. They use the allegation of racism against other people and yet do stuff like this. And it's just genuinely like, oh my God. By the end of the year. So, I mean, you know, we've got a while to wait, yeah, but, you know, in like 8 months' time, we'll have our league tables. It's going to be like fantasy football. I mean, like, honestly, I mean, you know, whenever we're playing away, I always do have to side with England, obviously. I just can't help but feel we're not going to win this. It's just like, okay, well, who saw this coming? Like, and everyone's like, well, she's pandering to Farage and the racists and the far right. It's like, you mean there's public pressure put on the fact that there are clearly problems with mass immigration. The Boris wave hasn't been a universal unalloyed good. Wow, that's a hard thing to believe, isn't it? Anyway, so weirdly, the Liberal who popped into my attention on my timeline for this, and it was bound to be some ridiculous lib. It was like, you know what? I'm going to bat for liberalism. I'm going to bat for the idea that actually everyone is identical everywhere on earth, and you're just a racist. There was a guy called Sean Biggerstuff. Now, I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him before. So I Googled his name. And it turns out he was in the Harry Potter films. I've never watched any of the Harry Potter films. So I have no idea who this dude is. I don't know what his education is like. I don't know what his credentials are like on this subject. But his arguments are amazing. So a group of young ladies, a couple of whom I know, posted, we've won the battle against trans ideology, but now it's the dangers of mass immigration for women that are a problem. And as you can see, they're beginning to make a bit of noise about the fact that, hang on a second, migrants are vastly overrepresented in certain kinds of crimes. Isn't this an issue? And Sean was like, wait a minute, it's 2002. I get to call people racist and think that that matters. And so he tweets onwards to racism. And this, I mean, it goes as well as you think. And a lady called Connie Shaw starts having a back and forth with him. And having a, you know, pointing out facts, right? Between 2021 and 2023, foreign nationals were 71% more likely than Britons to be responsible for sex crime convictions, according to the Ministry of Justice. Immigration is a feminist issue. True. And Sean's like, no, I don't care. You're a woman. I'm not listening to you. And eventually she posts, look, Sean, right? These stats are from the Ministry of Justice, right? What is the theory that you have for the reason that, for example, when it comes to violence, conviction rates for violence, in the Congo it's 187 per 10,000 people, whereas in the UK it's 16. In Gambia it's 80. In Iraq it's 91. In Somalia it's 129. When it comes to sexual offences, per 10,000, 59 Afghans are rapists, apparently. Have been convicted of rape. 54 Eritreans. 6 Brits. How do you explain this? And so Sean was like, right, that's it. The gloves are coming off. Since these pound shop sophists... Pound shop sophists, that's not even a phrase. Right? But I love the pound shop as well. As if, like, this has got distinct classist dimensions, right? Which is ironic, considering I'm sure Sean thinks of himself as a progressive person who doesn't want to be classist. But anyway, he says, and this is his big response to Connie's very reasonable question of if there are no problems with the differences in cultures, from cultures that are literally quite backwards in their opinions towards their fellow man or to women, and towards the nature of violence and women's sexual abilities to control their own reproductive functions and to be unviolated on a daily basis. Why is this happening then? And so Sean's like, right, okay, I've got this. I've absolutely got this. I've got the concrete liberal argument that's absolutely going to win this, right? So notice how like angry and condescending he is. I don't know whether it's just that he's talking to a woman or like he's like this all the time. But, I mean, he hasn't broken out the "Did you know I'm a Harry Potter actor" yet. So I guess there's that. He says, your theory, is that it's probably something, to do with the cultures they come from. Yeah, no kidding. Well, fucking QED, hen. Okay, calm down. You don't have to get misogynistic. You've provided less than nothing. I think it's just an observation, mate. Because if it's not their cultures, then it would have to be something congenital about them, right? Unless you were suggesting that actually the data is massively wrong to a factor of 10, right? To a factor of, again, 10. Like, unless the data is so goddamn wrong, and Sean's like, you know what? That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. As you'll obviously know, most rapes aren't reported. Oh, where are we going with this, Sean? Where are we going with this? 10 times more rapes by Afghans than people from Britain, and that's because most aren't reported. Is that how this is going to go, is it? And the different kinds of rape, partner versus random attack, have different rates of non-reporting than ones that are reported. Ones that were reported have different probabilities of leading to charges and convictions. And by the time you've compounded all these levels of uncertainty and added just a pinch of well-established institutional racism into the policing, that's right. It's just the racism. It's just literally racism. Aren't people from Moldova white? Anyway, moving on, Sean. You can absolutely not safely conclude that 71% more likely to be convicted equals anything more like 71% more likely to commit a crime. Right, so all the institutions are just racist, right? So the women, for some reason, just don't report it when white men rape them. And the institutions are just so profoundly racist that it's literally 10 times more that end up getting convicted if they're immigrants compared to if they're natives. The institutions are just here to defend the natives against the immigrants and apparently against native women, which really kind of flies in the face of what our actual experience of dealing with the institutions are, which is they will quite happily overlook the grooming gangs and quite happily crack down on people for being upset that children got stabbed, right? So, okay, fine. You've made up a total nonsense here, right? So, and even assuming it's true that the immigrants are more likely to commit sex offences, since when do we respond to a particular crime by being more common among a certain demographic for whatever reason, just by banishing that demographic? Well, hang on a second, Sean. No one actually said we were going to do that, but I'm listening. I mean, what's the point of a league table if not? Those are actively working to improve and say blah, blah, blah. And so what this basically boils down to is that there are, for every 10,000 people, there are 6 convicted British rapists and another 53 that are just at large. Sean has had to make up a massive phantom constituency of English rapists to balance these figures, which is great. But why don't you talk about the violence then? Like, again, you've had to make up 170 phantom violent people to make up the Congo one. And I guess that what the people don't is there like a color swatch chart where it's like the Congolese are quite dark and therefore they get it the most, but the people from Gambia are not as dark. I don't know. Like, what are you doing, Sean? You're making up phantom imaginary constituencies to say, look, actually, all of this is all filled in as well. It just doesn't show in the stats for reasons. Because the institutions are racist and want to not, like, make British people punished. They don't want to punish British people for doing something less. It's like nonsense, Sean. It's total nonsense, Sean. It's actually these people come from different cultures, and that makes them different to us in the way that they perceive the world, in the way they make decisions, and in the way they treat one another. And some cultures happen to have higher rates of violence. Some cultures happen to have higher rates of sexual assault. And actually, we need to be able to identify that to be able to deal with it. You saying, well, I mean, this is just bigotry. Half-witted, fashy grifters like Connie Shaw. It's like, dude, I think she's just a normal person. She's at the University of Leeds. She's just doing, like, who knows who she is, right? But I love this. This is probably my favourite comment from Bovril Gesellschaft. This made me howl. According to some scientists, up to 95% of all matter in the universe is comprised of English rapists, undetectable by conventional means. Because that is literally the core of his argument. There are just tens of thousands of English rapists out there who, for some reason, can't be detected, can't be caught, and for some reason, women just aren't interested in reporting. They're getting raped by all of these guys, but they're just not reporting it because they're like, well, I mean, he's not that dark. I've got my collar swatch out. What is the argument, Sean? This is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. You have to deal with the fact that you, as a wishy-washy liberal, have come to the end of your train of thought. You've realised you've got nothing else other than to simply make up a bunch of rapists that don't exist and say we just haven't caught them yet, or else admit that people are different. Different people are different. And you know what? If it wasn't the case, then there'd be no such thing as diversity. There would be no diversity if we were just all the same. So you are committed to them being different. Just admit it, Sean. Admit it. Come on, bro.